Come and sit here, sir.
Which drum roll?
Yeah. Basically, we took the most direct route to where we want to go.
There's a chair there, Chris. Richard won't bite, he's very charming. Who's Richard? That the guy in the picture. You're not going to bite.
Not hard.
I'm okay, thanks.
Come on, Mick, sit down.
I've been told as well, yeah. Just got older than you.
A couple of months.
Keep myself under control.
Now that we're all sitting here well behaved and quiet, can I welcome you all here to Charmaine's 60th birthday celebration. And there are probably quite a few of you who've travelled here from some distance. Fiona, Gillian, Chris and Nick, Beryl and Mike, Richard and Nita, everyone who is beyond Milton Keynes has travelled along. Tomorrow falls into that category as well. And in a way this has been an incredibly difficult party to organise. Firstly because Charmaine has been very reluctant to turn 60. Even though when she was 28 she started counting backwards. So she's probably minus 20 years old today. And for me and Christine to keep this a secret, and I really don't know if it has been a secret or not. But anyway, thank you very much to all of you for being here. There are also a large number of people who actually weren't able to make it. Duncan and Jeanette are kids who are in Namibia and South Africa and the rest of their families. Charmaine's brother Fred, sister Carol, my brother Robert and John, Brendan, Alan who are in Kent, Carlos and Elise who live in Brighton I think, and my nephew Alex and Laura who are in London but they're on their pre-honeymoon weekend, pre-wedding weekend. So you're a very special group of people and thank you very much for being here with us this afternoon. Christine has been instrumental in organising this.
Well done, Chris.
Like a real dictator. Where's your report? Where's this? Where's that? What's happening? And this happened 6 months ago. So it's been a very trying 6 months for me. More difficult than having to work with Sharon in Wisconsin. But Christine has a very interesting life story to tell. And hopefully we're not going to keep you here until too late in the afternoon. It's a nice setting, so make the most of it.
So I apologise, I'm not very good at public speaking, so I'm just literally going to read what I've got over here. This is your present, flowers from me, Duncan and Jeanette.
That's gorgeous.
So Jeanette and I, this is the story behind this is...
Boys?
This is when Jeanette and I went to Egypt a couple of years ago, and she hugged with some Egyptian boy and got it for about £1.
Go, my boy. She's trying to concentrate.
Got it for about £1, and basically what it's meant to represent is the green bird is infancy, the red bird symbolises childhood, the blue bird, dark blue bird, symbolises youth. The blue bird symbolises adulthood, and this orange bird symbolises old age. So,
am I still in childhood?
Yeah, what colour are you today? How are you feeling?
so with numerous backwards and forwards emails between Carol, Fred, Dad, Duncan, Jen and myself, we've come up with a few highlights from Mom's various stages of her life. There are 364 days when you might get unbirthday presents, and only one for birthday presents. This Lewis Carroll quotation, a combination of wonderful stories to follow, are invaluable and are our birthday present to you. So, for infancy, we've got Fred, the Buddha, and Carol to write this. This one is a little tax reminiscing on the memory, being little more than infants ourselves at the time, in 1952 Grandma and Grandpa announced a new sibling. It was a girl child, too young to play with for the first few years. Carol would offer up her old dolls as gifts, which worked, but Fred's offerings of frogs, grasshoppers and lumps of bitumen were from the hot tar road did not raise any excitement or approval from Grandma. In the early years, Shah was often off limits because of ailments like measles, tick-bite fever, meningitis, tonsillitis, etc. Grandma would dress the girls identically and plaiting hair because the order of the day. Shah appeared to be quiet, self-reliant, even-tempered and a happy child. The only time Buddha recalls her as being angry was when, as a teenager visiting Durban, Fred vetoed her date on one occasion.
Oh, yes.
On childhood, my cousin. Shah loved participating in make-believe games, usually the theme related to the weekly movie which would be screened the previous Saturday at the Rex, I think, theatre. The game preference was always more dramatic and tragic themes. This is where soap operas were born. Usually choreographed by Carol, the story would include tragically maimed or dying dolls, graves and shoebox coffins in the east, Fred administering the last rites and conducting the funeral while the family mourners, Shah and Carol, stood at the pretend gravesite, weeping copious and unrestrained tears. Shah was an independent thinking child and did not always follow the rules, often landing herself and me, Carol, in trouble with the nuns. She was nonetheless a clever scholar at school, and consequently Grandma and Grandpa took her out of convent and sent her to Victoria Girls' High, where she could do maths and science. This turned out to be a good decision by Grandma and Grandpa, and equipped Shah for her late university education, also stood her in good stead ever since. Youth, written by Duncan, me and Jen. I remember Mom coming into our rooms on a school morning, throwing open the curtains and reciting at the top of her lungs Louisa May Alcott's poem. Awake, awake, for the earliest gleam of golden sunlight shines on rippling waves that brightly flows beneath the flowering vines. She'd then steal our blankets, pop them in the passageway, ignoring the moans and groans and blasphemy emanating from our bedrooms.
What's the blanket?
Mom loves writing poetry and books, and recently published her first book.
Who does steal the blanket?
She used to write all sorts of interesting short stories that could be compared to Rudyard Kipling. We all remember the story of Murder the Turtle and Eddie the Frog and how they continue to tease Rob the dog. She's now taking it so seriously that she's meeting up with fellow authors every couple of weeks, and we hope that she wins rich and famous soon so that she can continue to help us middle-aged kids with our studies, home purchases and trips overseas. Mom never followed convention. Instead of going to university, then getting married and having kids, she decided to get married, have the kids, and then go to university. I remember as kids going to Wits University with her. In the beginning, we used to sit in lectures with her, but I think after we distracted the young moody ladies with total enjoyableness, we would vanish to the atrium with blankets and some milk money. We were under the watchful eyes of about 300 students in the atrium of the university. I can remember the build-up for weeks around the forthcoming Queen concert. She was so excited leading up to the concert, and tickets booked to stay at Sun City for the weekend, a big family outing. We arrived at Sun City and the news came out that Freddie had Silk Road. She was devastated. How rude. There was a refund offered for the concert, but I'm sure that if you check, the tickets are probably stashed away somewhere. A very fond memory of my younger years was our weekly Thursday night meeting when Cora wasn't working. Each week, one of us would choose a restaurant and we went out for dinner, Mike's Kitchen and Winners. I think that we thoroughly enjoyed each of those evenings. The old Schneider and Dre offices in Randburg were near two very memorable eateries. The first will be very, very memorable to everyone in the family, Crazy Mamas. Quite often on the weekends, while Mom and Dad were working, we would go to Crazy Mamas for lunch after work. The manager eventually got to know us so well, I can remember the first time I was allowed in front of the house to watch what's being made. The second was a deli type takeaway. I can only really remember doing this a few times, but it was one where you chose your own contents bizarrely. It was so cool and it would make the trip to work much better.
I remember that. No, impressed.
I have to recount Charmaine's adulthood. In a way, I have so many happy memories of our life together that I could probably spend the rest of the day recounting them. So I'm only going to cover 4 particular decades. moments.
4 decades.
The first is the early 70s, long before probably most of you were born. When we first met at university, we were having an occasion in the Great Hall at the university, basically an orientation session. I was sitting with a couple of friends and listening intently to the presentation from probably the head of the university, when Shah appeared from behind, climbing over at least half a dozen rows of seats to sit down beside me saying, "Hold my hand."
He was very shy.
Shah had an argument with probably one of 3 or 4 boyfriends she had at the time, and she decided she needed a change, and I was fortunate.
Victim.
The second was when Charmaine decided in the mid-80s to go back to university. We decided that, having been successfully unsuccessful in the 70s going to university, we decided that it was a good idea for her to go back to university. We were chatting to friends, probably at a party similar to this, about the decision to send Charmaine back to university. One of our friends said that was probably the stupidest decision she could ever take, and was a complete waste of time, and what Charmaine should actually do is take up belly dancing instead. In a way, that particular jibe was the incentive that Shah needed to actually go back to university and get a degree. And in her final year, she won the best prize, best student dissertation for the year for business economics.
You're a star.
The third decade is in the mid-1990s, our decision to go to Namibia. And I think all of those of you who've actually been to Namibia or familiar with Namibia would understand the situation. By the mid-1990s, our kids had all grown up. We were in a rut at work, and we decided we needed to do something completely different.
Midlife crisis, it's called.
We'd been on holiday in Namibia in 1998 or 1999, just before independence. And we'd spent a couple of holidays on the west coast at Swakopmund, and we decided that we would really like to live there. We decided to sell our house, which we did. We bought a smaller townhouse, we bought a 4x4, and we waited to see what would happen. Surprisingly, there was a job available in Walvis Bay, a real town at, quite frankly, the arse end of the world. Exactly where we wanted to be. And I was offered the job and actually took it. And we moved there. One of the things that we decided we needed to do was find a job for Charmaine. We decided on the issue of a bed and breakfast. The bed and breakfast actually grew by Topsy and grew into the hotel that we owned and ran called the Langham Hotel, which was for 10 years Charmaine's pride and joy. We had an incredibly good 10 years in Namibia, and it was probably, the hotel was probably one of the best and probably remains one of the nicest hotels in Walvis Bay. And I think to a large extent that's down to Charmaine. Finally, the fourth decade is our move to England in the sort of mid-1990s. We'd reached another midlife crisis. I think at our age you're entitled to a good few midlife crises. And after selling the Langham Hotel, we decided to do, again, something completely different. Christine, at the time, was living in England, and we had English passports. And one of the things we wanted to do was we actually wanted to travel. And to travel from Southern Africa was always really difficult. So Charmaine thought it would be a great idea to live and work in England. We started with Christine and Craig in Manchester. We moved down to Kent. And then finally we're here in Milton Keynes. We have, I think, done a fair amount of travelling. We've spent a lot of time with Fiona in Brittany, in France. We've also been throughout England, Wales, Scotland, Ireland. We've been to Spain, Italy, Switzerland, Germany, and most recently we've been to Canada and to America.
Then sort him out.
And we've really enjoyed the convenience of being able to travel from England. In a way, we now need to get travelling.
Another midlife crisis.
Yeah. Here we go.
As one of these days we're planning to move back to Namibia, and that's probably scheduled for early in the new year.
Won't give you much longer. And we move on to old age.
Oh no.
Oh no. Do you want another drink, Char?
In that chapter yet.
So we discussed for a really long time what we should put for old age. We felt really strongly that Charmaine has still not reached the old age yet.
Yay.
So much that we could comment. So we'd like to meet up in another 20 years. We'll be able to discuss this in more detail.
Yeah. Namibia.
Wherever you are.
Wherever we are. We're all invited.
All invited, 20 years, it's a
The
day.
invitation will go out well in advance.
So I'd just like to finish with a poem which we've written, a little bit page-wise for Mum. What can we say about our mother except that she is like no other? Through these words we'll try to show the world that those close to her know. No words of praise grand can compete with her loving hand, just like a flower in full bloom, her smile still warms up any room. Now, as the 60-year mark goes by, we challenge ourselves that we will try and be so strong that when we're that age, as we too reach that halfway stage. For this, Mother dear, is only the start. We know that you're still young at heart. And the heart is what keeps us alive. With the heart so strong, you'll surely cry. Joy is found in small things, a smile, a laugh, and again the heart sings. We hope we know the love we have for you. If not, then hopefully now you do. Now you do. If our love was made of water, in an ocean we would be. If our love was made of leaves, we'd be a jungle and trees. If banks took love, how would we top? I couldn't think of any more, so now I better stop. But in closing, I'd like to say one more thing before I go away. When we die, be it rich or poor, there's one more thing we'll know for sure, that nobody else was loved more than we will love our mum. Make best of your past, and you've got a lot of that. Make the worst of your future. Happy birthday. Thank you.
There is still lots of food to be eaten, and I'm sure we still have lots to drink, so please help yourselves, make yourselves comfortable. Within 5 minutes, Charmaine's going to have to start opening her presents.
The old age, yes. Yeah.
Old age looking towards the left.